toys, 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 and I think it's testing time, Lee.
Testing time.
It is testing time. What have you got in your hands today?
So we have got the new Callaway Epic range. So we've got the Max, the Speed and the Max LS.
I've been quietly excited about the launch of these.
Yes.
Because I am a fan of the Epic range, but
contrastingly different to the Maverick as well.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of little, well, they've got some differences, haven't they, this year compared to what we've got from previous years?
Yeah, slight differences. There's a difference in jailbreak, there's a difference in the sole, and then obviously there's perimeter weighting back, which wasn't in the Maverick. So the Epic has always seemed to have that slidable weight,
yes,
and then the Maverick and the Rogue didn't. Okay, so it's kind of time for a sliding weight again.
Right. Guys, Dan Hendriksen here. We're at the Ashbury Golf Resort here today, and we are at Lee's fantastic new studio. We're going to be testing those Epic drivers, as Lee's just explained to you. We're going to do a little bit of information on how we're hitting it, how it feels to us, give you some numbers on what we're producing, and also some tech from what Callaway are telling us as well. If you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But for now, let's have a go with these Callaway drivers. So we're going to start off with the Epic Speed.
Yes, Epic Speed.
Just get us going. What shaft have you got in this
So I'm
test today?
Trying the Mitsubishi MMT 60X.
Okay, because I've never seen this shaft before, so this is obviously a new one that they've brought out for this year with this range.
Yeah, it wasn't in the Maverick last year. So I'm trying to move away from the Hazardous Smoke 6.5.
Okay.
So I'm just giving this a whirl, and so far it's nice. I like it.
Okay, so to get us going with, we're going to get you to hit 6 shots with each club.
Yep.
Okay. We won't sort of talk about it at this stage, what they look like, what they feel like to us. We'll do that at the end. So speed, Epic Speed to start with me as well. I'm going to go in the same order as what Lee's done, getting 6 shots with each club. But I'm going for the Hazardous Smoke 6.0. This is the shaft that I would use normally, so I'm going to stick with that to keep it all nice and consistent for me. Lee, tell me a little bit more about the specs and tech on this driver that sort of Callaway are telling us.
Okay, so the Epic Speed to start is all about aerodynamics. So as you can see from the shape, it's a little bit similar to the Maverick, where they've sort of got that like bulbous sort of look on it.
Yep.
The face is the same AI designed face, so their supercomputers designed all that. But the little difference this year is in the jailbreak. So previously we had 2 slots and there was 2 bars. Now there's a frame that's called like a jailbreak frame, so it's just got a little bit more stability across the face.
Okay.
And the other difference is there's now called triaxial carbon in the sole, so they've taken this part out of what was titanium on the Maverick, made it carbon, and that means they can distribute the weight a little bit further around the head to sort of aid forgiveness a little bit.
So do you think that creating the frame a little bit more rigid is because of this level that they've gone?
Possibly.
You know, they've gone slightly softer there, so have they got to make a bigger frame for it?
Yeah, possibly. But what it will do is it's just going to give you more stability on the face. But there's no movable weight on the Speed. Whereas on the Epic Max and the Epic Max LS, there is this movable weight at the back.
Yes.
So the spec is the same as with the Speed. Only difference is this is a little bit stretched back compared to the Speed. So the Speed is more of a tour preferred shape.
Yes.
And then obviously there's this movable weight, which is slightly heavier on the Max than it is on the LS, which will then put weight a little bit further forward on the LS, which will give you that low spin.
Okay, so this is then the super low spin version, and then the Max is obviously the helping version, so CG push further back, CG push closer to the face.
Yeah, but what they've done this year is there's no Sub-Zero, so this is their low spinning version, so it's going to be a little bit more forgiving than previous Sub-Zeros, which were very specialist clubs. Like if you got it wrong, like the gear effect
you've
was
been there and
ridiculous.
done that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got previous experience.
You've got the t-shirt.
I've got the scars to prove that one.
Let's talk club data then. Okay, let's give us some numbers of what we're actually getting from these 3 drivers that I've got here. So let's start off with your numbers to get us going with, Lee.
Okay, Epic Max LS.
Yes.
So low spinning, unfortunately both yellow, but ball speed 161.8, which is pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Launch angle 12.5, which is really, really good for me. And then
very
spinning at 2,200 with an average carry of 282.
So actually very, very good numbers.
Yeah, really.
I mean, this is for the low spin model. I mean, this is very manageable. How did that compare to, let's say, your Sub-Zero when you had that?
Massive difference.
Is it?
Yeah.
What, more spin?
A little bit more spin, but it feels more manageable.
Okay.
Whereas the Sub-Zero was like I'd stand over it and I'd close my eyes and then you'd tell me where it went.
Yeah,
I feel a little bit more in control of that. There is definitely that added forgiveness with it being a little bit stretched back.
But for the low spin model, I think these numbers are pretty much spot on.
Yeah, perfect. Really.
Absolutely spot on. And then we move into the speed, which is the next one down. Yeah,
driver is speed. So ball speed a little bit faster at 162. Launch angle
0.3 difference, I suppose. It's pretty much the same.
Launch angle again negligible.
12.8, very good.
Spin, it's negligible. It's
tiny.
You take the standard deviation into account, they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
Carry 280, so almost the same.
The reality is that you could play both.
All day.
You could play both. But what I do find amazing is how you're spinning the low spin version just a fraction more than you're spinning what you're getting out of the speed version.
Yeah.
So either or.
The peak height, this is both yellow there. They're literally identical. You can't separate them at all.
No, that's quite impressive. And then we move into the Max then, so the more forgiving version, should we say?
Yeah, so this has got a little bit more weight at the rear, on the rear track.
Yeah.
So ball speed, not really a drop, really, considering.
No, really good.
Launch angle, considering it was half a degree loftier, it's exactly the same as the speed, but the spin is the big.
Yeah, so bringing that CG back a little bit further back in the head, just going to pop that spin up just a fraction. And this is where you're starting to lose maybe a few yards, purely based, the ball speed's the same, but that extra bit of spin is just making you lose just that, 10 yards, 8 to 10 yards out of it.
But the big difference was these big circles here are mine. That's the LS and the speed. This little circle here in the middle, that's the Max. So the dispersion on it was fantastic.
So in reality, what you would end up doing is you've got to make a decision. Do you want to go bomb out with the LS version, or do you want to start finding some fairways and keeping it nice and tight with a little bit more manageable spin and lose that 8 to 10 yards on an average?
It's nothing really, is it?
Not a lot, is it? Right, my numbers then. What am I getting out of this?
So Epic speed to start with.
Get me going with the speed then. So the kind of what I call the standard version, the middle ground version.
152 ball speed.
Pretty much where I would be from a normal drive for me at the moment, to be fair.
15.9 on your launch.
Okay, quite high, I would say. I'd probably need to knock that down a little bit.
I think you're normally around about 14, aren't you?
Yeah, I kind of get it around 14 with my own driver, but the loft on it's pretty much the same as what I would have on my own driver, 9 degrees.
And
so
same shaft.
Same shaft, so it's just popping it up there just a little bit more than my normal.
But it's spinning it less than you would normally see 2.2. You like to see it around 2.4, 2.5.
Yeah, I do. But what's interesting is since I've come out of this lockdown and I've been doing some testing, I've lost spin and I've gained yardage. So I don't know what's happened in my lockdown, but something's happened. So this is actually based on where I'm at right now with, let's say, my TSI 3. This is actually quite nice to see because I was dropping down to sort of the 2000 mark, 19s and 2000 in my TSI 3, so that's really good numbers. And then 269
above average for you, or thereabouts? 265 to 270 is your
I would say this is pretty good. This is some good numbers considering the spin, considering the ball speed. That's some really good numbers. And I got to say, from the looks of this driver, I mean, it looks very similar to what we've seen in the past with the standard Epic and even the Maverick. The same sort of shape going in that.
It's just subtly different on top. The weave, the carbon weave, just noticed that
it's a little bit quieter when you look at the actual. The weaving in it is a little bit quieter on top there, and then you've still got that sort of traditional lipstick around the back, but they've actually popped Epic in there, which is one of the first things that jumps out to me.
Is they've not put the line behind the chevron, like they used to put that line on the Epic range behind the chevron.
Yeah.
I never really liked that. It always used to put me off. So now
it's very clean. It's very clean. Okay, what about my Max then? No, not the Max. The Max LS. So the low spin.
LS. Slightly higher ball speed, 1.5 mile an hour, 153.
Okay.
Launch down at 13.8, which
Yeah.
is sort of where you want to be.
Yeah.
Spinning at 19.9.
Yeah.
A bit low for you, but it was controllable. It wasn't
Good
all
shots.
over the place.
Felt great, really
and then
did.
271 on the carry.
Yeah.
So, but like you really like that club.
Well, what's interesting, the difference with this one is this was the big jump out to me when you're going into a low spin model, kind of like this is what the tour players are possibly going to look to put in. You know, to see it a little bit more stretched back than what I was seeing from the speed version.
Yeah.
And also when you look down at the face, I don't know if you noticed this, but the face from heel to toe looked really square. Like, did you notice that there was almost like felt like there was less roll off the edge of the toe of the club? It felt like it was a really square, so really easy to line up. But as soon as I started hitting it, I thought, wow, because I really struggled with Sub-Zero. I always felt like it felt really weighty down at the bottom because the weight was always pushed so far forward. I could always feel like it was a struggle to square the face up. Whereas this, easy,
and
like
that
properly easy.
Is my Golf Spy best buy of the year.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me. I've got to say, first impressions looking down, not as nice as what I would expect from compared to, let's say, the speed. But as soon as you start hitting it, all that sort of look goes out the window.
What I like about it is the forgiveness and the low spin. It's kind of like, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, isn't it? It really is. Like, I was doing thank you because it was saving my back at the bottom. Okay, so then we move into the Max then, the proper Max version, so the helping club.
The very helping club. Ball speed a little bit higher, 154.4.
Yeah.
Launching at 15.5, so a little bit less than the speed, even though it is a half a degree more. But again, like you can see with mine, the spin has come up, which is exactly what it's want to do. And then the carries dropped down by 5 yards, which is
so these have done, for me personally, these have done exactly what I would expect them to do.
Yeah.
We've got the low spin version, we've got the medium version, and then we've got the higher spinning version, which is exactly what I'd expect to see from all three of these drivers, and it hasn't let us down. And the numbers, I think, reflect it on the carry as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, really impressed. When it came to the actual Epic Max version, we started off with that weight in the neutral position, and I was starting to strike everything a little bit out of the heel. And I asked Lee just to pop it into that sort of toe position, just to see if my strike might improve a little bit, and it did, didn't it?
So
I went from
heel to pretty much centre.
And this is something you just got to be aware of, even though the marketing might tell you that by putting it in the heel, it might slow the heel down and get that weight behind that heel strike maybe. Actually, I'm a bit of a CG tracker, so I will generally track to wherever the weight is, and not everybody does that, but some people do. So by putting it a little bit more into the toe of the club, I've been able to move that strike location a little bit over from the heel and more into the centre of the club, which really did start helping, didn't it, for me personally?
So much better.
Yeah.
So we just move on to the club data then.
Yes.
What I liked from my point of view is the efficiency. That, these are some of the highest efficiencies I've seen for a while.
Really good, yeah.
But the head speed was pretty close together, and yours was like.
Yeah, mine's pretty much on top of each other, 108.
It's like ridiculously tight. And then obviously strike location, so the speed and the LS I was hitting in the toe.
Yeah.
I, like you, struggled with the heel, with the Max, and didn't bother moving the weight.
That's both of our Maxes.
Yeah.
That's your Max here, and then that's my Max there. So mine probably started off over here, and then I've just shifted it across by moving the weight. So that's the average
of those 6 shots that we hit with each.
Yeah.
I think if we disabled the first 3, then your strike would be more here with the Max.
Yeah.
But it's such a good club, and you can see the difference, especially with yours. The club speed's the same, but you look back at the ball data, and you can see how the club is changing the launch conditions and not what you're doing.
Absolutely. So which one would you be putting in the bag then, Lee?
Well, it depends what type of course vlog we were playing.
Correct.
I like the speed, but I think it's kind of sits in the middle for me. If I was going to be picking one to find fairways, I'd pick the Max. The extra spin is going to help me. If we were doing a 59 and it was Lee hit it as far as possible, then the LS is coming out. And I think with the LS, instead of the Sub-Zero, I probably help a little bit more than I normally do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as an everyday club, I'd stick with the Max. I think having the adjustability, that extra forgiveness at my level, I can't throw that away.
We're happy to lose a few yards just to keep yourself
8 yards is neither here nor there really. I can make up for that in irons, So it's not the end of the world. Danny boy, which one are you picking?
Well, I'm going to write the Max off straight away, for me personally. Not to say that it's not a good club, because I really think it is. I think Callaway have done a fantastic job on this club from a looks point of view. From a feel point of view, it's not too tinny, it's quite thuddy off the face, which is what I like the feel and sound of. But for me personally, I'm trying to max out my yardage, so for me to have a higher spinning driver, it's not necessarily going to suit my bag. But for lots of players out there, and I'm not talking just high handicap golfers, I'm thinking that all golfers could put this one in the bag. If you're someone who just maybe scatters it across the face, this Max is going to work really, really well for you. And I love the fact that you can dial in a little bit more with those strike locations on that back rail. But it comes down to these two for me. It's either going to be the LS or it's going to be the Speed, and I've got to say, from the looks of them and the shape of them, the Speed wins it for me. It's more traditional kind of pear-shaped kind of look to me, which is what I want to kind of see. I love the feel of both of them. I think they both sound and feel really quite nice, not too tinny. I think that flash face technology in the previous flash driver of Epic was a bit tinny. I prefer that they've dulled this down a little bit for my sort of sound and feel. But I think I'd have to go for the Speed, purely because I want a little bit, you know, it was 3 yards difference on an average between these, but I think from 200 or 300 revs, I'd rather keep up that little bit of extra revs on the backspin to keep a little bit more control. I think this one, on my bad day, this is going to start to get away from me a little bit, whereas I feel that the Speed is going to give me that little bit of extra control and confidence that I'd want when I was out on the golf course playing. But let us know, we'd like to hear what you think. Are these drivers something that you're going to look to test yourself, and which one would you be looking at putting in the golf bag? We'd like to hear in the comments down below. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget also to go over and check out Lee's channel and see what he's doing over here at Ashbury. Lots of good things coming your way from him as well. And as always, stay safe, and we'll catch up with you again soon.